Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon.
Thank
Hello.
you. Thank you.
Hello.
Usual.
Hello, guys.
Thank you all for joining us this afternoon as we continue our Godfather saga discussion. Let me just say hello to everyone in the chat before we dive right in. I see Mike F. I see iWatch. I see Maureen. Welcome. Arlene, welcome. I saw someone else here. Toro in the house. Good to see you, my friend. Down Neck. Good to see you. Excellent crew to start off here. All right. Stephen Morinello, Carmela, Todd Father. Hello. All right. So how are you guys doing?
Excellent. This is a great scene.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, absolutely.
I'm doing great. The Bills are winning.
Oh, they just went ahead. They were 7-7 before I came on.
14-10. No. I got you.
Who are they
Who's the
playing? I haven't been
The
watching.
Raiders.
Las
Oh.
Vegas, not Oakland. Las Vegas.
Las Vegas Raiders.
Shut up. Yesterday I said, and we're playing the Oakland Raiders. I said, oh, boy. Nice. Things you caught that. Huh?
All right, so today's scene we pick up after the decision was made by the family that Michael was going to meet with Sollazzo and McClusky to discuss the proposition that Sollazzo has to end the war or at least have some type of truce. And the scene begins where Michael is with Clemenza preparing for the meeting, and he's in the basement, and Clemenza has a specific gun that he's obtained for him to use because he knows, well, obviously we know that he has to kill both of them. He has to kill both. He can't just kill one of them. He's got to kill both of them. That's the only answer at this point. And I wanted to share this picture I found. Hold on here. Let's see. Okay, hold on. Here it is. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Here it is. Now you see the basement, right? They're in the basement of, I guess, who knows, a house in the compound there where the Godfather lives, and the picture of the saint on the wall over here. I mean, how many basements did we go into that had either the picture of the Pope or the pictures of saints hanging up? I know mine did.
Wow.
Yeah, or the Holy Family.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Wow. Look at them. You never really look at it till you see it still like this.
Yeah, right.
Just look at it. Where's that? A bottle of beer back
Bottle of
there?
beer here. This is a paint can, right? A paint can with a brush. There's a paint can over here, 2 paint cans.
Well, that was Clemenza's workshop.
Yeah.
That's where he tested and built all the guns and everything, grinded them down. That was his work area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Look at the detail in that these producers came up with. Wow.
Yeah. The best part is when he was taking the gun.
Taping the trigger.
Taking it out of the vise after he grinded it down.
Right.
Wow. Amazing.
And he says, I left it noisy, right? He says, I left it noisy. So it'll scare any pain in the ass bystanders away.
Yep.
Now, in the book, it's the only thing that's different, which I don't really get, obviously the gun that Michael has here, you can't see it in this picture, but it's a 38. I think it is a 30. It's like a snub nose.
38.
Right?
Yep, 38.
The book says it's a 22. To me, that doesn't make any sense because how can you a 22 is such a small caliber of a bullet. You don't want to try to assassinate someone with a 22 because it may not kill them.
ALV. Actually, a 22 is the best one to use.
Really?
But,
okay.
Yes, best one to use. But did you hear Clemenza? I kept it noisy, which he bumped it to a 38. Mm-hmm. A 38 is a cannon sound compared to a 22. So,
okay. Right.
Yeah.
So, when he loosens the trigger, yeah, Toro says when he loosens the trigger. Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Yep.
So yeah, so this is basically everybody's basement growing up.
Yeah.
Absent the gun range or whatever he turned it into, where he tests it. But this is what we grew up with.
Wow. Look at that.
Mm-hmm.
That is amazing.
And
It's
all
true.
right, so the prep for this is that Michael, what they have to find out, obviously, is they have to find out where the meeting's going to take place. That's the only way, because they know that Michael's going to be searched as soon as he gets into the car. He's going to be picked up in front of Jack Dempsey's restaurant in Manhattan, I think. Right? Wasn't that where it was, in Manhattan?
Yes.
Jack Dempsey's.
It was Tessio's grounds.
And Tessio has that's a good point. Tessio has the Bronx also, because that's where the actual restaurant that they meet is located, in the Bronx. And he knows it. He knows it because it's his territory. He knows everything in that area. And he's charged with planting the gun behind the old toilet, the box and the chain thing, as he says.
Yep. Wow.
And so now before we get into all that, I mean, actually what happens is that when he's picked up, right, he's picked up with a driver, and he's picked up with Sollazzo and McClusky in the car.
Yep.
Now before we get into that, the book gives us a little bit a background on McClusky himself. First of all, his first name is Mark McClusky. They tell us that he has 4 kids, 4 boys that he puts through school with the payoff money he gets.
Oh my God.
From the mob, and they all go to Fordham. Interestingly enough, they go to Fordham.
Wow.
Yeah.
They get into all that detail.
Yeah. Right. And they also say that this whole deal with him dealing with the mob and taking payoffs, he learned from his father, who was a police sergeant. So when his father was a police sergeant, he would take payoffs, and he would take Mark with him along as a child, and he would see how it's done, how it would go from storefront to storefront, and the store owner would open a register and give him the kid $5-10. Like that's how he would collect his payoffs. The payoffs would go through the kid. It's really interesting, because when you think about it, so this takes place in 1945. So, and McClusky is like in his 50s at the time. So that was like in the 1890s, right? That was in the 1890s. And you think about New York City at that time, it was totally corrupt from like 1850s up until, totally corrupt and totally controlled by the Democratic machine. And all the police were on the take. I mean, that's just common sense. They were on the take. That was just nature, because they paid them nothing to begin with. They paid them peanuts. So they were incentivized to do that, to take payments, to live,
I set the culture for that for decades and generations to come.
Absolutely.
Well, all the way up to 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Castle and all the way up to 15 years ago. Wow.
And then the book also describes McClusky as, it's an interesting description, as he feels he's not doing anything wrong. He feels that he's entitled to the payoffs, that they pay him so little, that this is just what it is. And he tends to have some type of like, he has like some type of rationalization in himself, in that he has a sense of honor. He sees himself as having a sense of honor, and that's why he ends up. And they explain that's why he ends up punching Michael, because what he felt he had to do, because Michael was at the hospital, and Enzo was at the hospital, and he got the call that there were still were still mob guys there. He felt that he was going to have to pay back Sollazzo the money that he took from Sollazzo because he was paid to clear the hospital, and it wasn't done. So he felt he had to turn back, and it was $10,000 that he was paid by Sollazzo to clear the hospital and set up the Don. And he felt he was going to have to give that money back. So he got angry and he punched Michael. That was part of it. Part of why he punched Michael. At least that's what the book tells us. And we don't see any of that in the movie. You don't see anything at all.
No.
He was old. He was old, frustrated. At the end of his career, he was all of that McClusky.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, you got a young punk punking him off to boot.
Getting in the way of his money.
Yeah.
And he never for 1 second thinks that he's vulnerable because no one had ever killed a police officer, a ranking police officer like this, that we find is going to happen. And he never thought it would happen. So when he goes to take on, and he's asked by Sollazzo to protect him, he says, fine, there's no risk involved here. No one's going to shoot me. No one's going to kill me. It's never happened, and little does he know, and he finds out. But that's also the mentality. Like the five families, it was a clear mandate that nobody killed police. Nobody did that because it would bring too much heat on them. And it was a norm. You would never kill a police officer. That's what they were off limits. You could pay them off. You would never kill them.
Let me ask you a question. Did they know in advance that McClusky was going to be there?
Yes.
Michael knew.
They did because what happened is, remember we mentioned that Sonny has a man in the police department, the Detective Phillips. Detective Phillips calls him and says McClusky checked out at this place.
I got you. All right.
So that's how they know. That's how they know he's going to be there.
Okay, but he was supposed to be surprised.
Yeah.
But that inside information that they had, somebody on the payroll got them the information. I got it.
Right.
All right, good.
The other thing is that there's a negotiator, and they mention this too. They mention this in the movie, that there's a negotiator that's going to sit with Clemenza's people until the meeting is over as kind of like a hostage. So that if anything happens to Michael, they would kill the negotiator. And the negotiator, they don't tell you who he is, but they do say he's someone high up in the Tattaglia family. So I don't know what that means. It could have been a captain. I don't know, but he was someone high up in the Tattaglia family that was basically sent there as a hostage. And this is basically like a throwback to like the 1500s, like in where different princes from different countries would, if they were having a negotiation, they would give someone as a hostage and they'd hold them to as insurance so that nothing would happen to their people. So it's a real throwback to the old days on how the families are interacting here. It's really an ancient type of practice.
Wow, that's an interesting choice.
And so we see the whole thing about the where it's going to happen, where it's going to take place, right? And it's going to take place in Louis' restaurant in the Bronx. Now, in the book, they call it something different. They call it Luna Azore is the name of the restaurant. Now, I don't know why they changed it, but they changed it. And here I have a picture of the restaurant itself that I wanted to share here. Here's the picture.
Yeah. What a nice gin mill.
Yeah, I mean, it's this typical, right? This is like a typical old style restaurant.
Food, alcohol, all of that.
The bar over to the right, people sitting in their little tables, the tile on the floor, You still see that, and you still see that, Stiggs, in Montclair and some of the restaurants are still like this.
Well,
Wait, do they even have wood bars anymore?
Yeah.
Do they? I don't know. I don't know.
Some places do.
Yeah.
Some if they want to have that look, that old
Right. The classic look.
But typically now they're all marble and stuff like that.
Right.
So you see the ambiance of the place. It's dim.
It's perfect.
Dim, it's quiet, and Tessio even says it's perfect for us. Everyone minds their own business. It's quiet,
Yeah, very nice.
So as we know, Michael gets picked up by Sollazzo and McClusky are in the car, and there's a driver. And he sits in the front seat, and they search him. They don't find a gun. And then they do this thing where they go like they pretend they're going to New Jersey. They pretend they're going across the George Washington, I believe. I believe it's the George Washington Bridge.
Yeah, they're on the bridge.
Yeah, and they do a U-turn and come back.
Yeah.
Now, in the book, you don't get this. I mean, you kind of get it a little bit from the movie with Michael. Like you see his apprehension, and he says, "We're going to Jersey." You know, in the book, he's really afraid. He really thinks they screwed up. He thinks that they got bad information, and he's gonna end up in a restaurant in New Jersey all alone with just them. So there's a real fear in Michael at that time in the book.
Yeah.
You see a little bit of that, but not as much in the movie.
It's not so much he didn't trust them.
Yeah,
He just thought they boggled
They
it.
screwed up. Oh yeah, he thinks they screwed up. Yeah.
The only thing that would have changed if that meeting took place somewhere else is that they wouldn't have got clipped. They would have just talked about the situation.
And that's it.
And that's it. Would have had a sit down, a discussion, and come out with some kind of resolution.
Right.
Which would obviously screw everything up.
Yeah. Right. Of course, that would like screw the whole plot line. But let's talk about what the proposition was, though. This is interesting because you don't see this in the movie. You don't know the actual Sollazzo proposition. The proposition is told in the book. So the proposition is that there's going to be a truce between the families, that Bruno D'Italia's death, Bruno Jr. D'Italia's death, we know that happened, is going to cancel out what they attempted to do to the Godfather. So that would be an eye for an eye right there. So there's no vengeance needed at that point. And that Sollazzo would that they're going to do this, and they're going to wait for the Godfather. They're going to wait for the Godfather to get better, because then Sollazzo says, then the Godfather could negotiate with Bruno. So again, now we know, because we've seen the movie, that it's really Bozzini. But even in the book at this time, Sollazzo saying it's Bruno D'Italia. It's Bruno D'Italia, you know. So the Godfather can negotiate with Bruno D'Italia. But that's obviously not the case, because he's not the brains behind this. He's not. And then during that time period where the Godfather's getting better and getting ready to negotiate, Sollazzo will continue to sell his drugs because he says he needs to make a living, and he's not asking the Corleones for anything. Only that they don't interfere with his drug sales. Now, that's kind of silly when you think about it, because they weren't going to interfere with him anyway. They already said that. They said, you do what you got to do, and we're not going to be involved.
Well, he figured they were going to start pushing up on him, like bad-mouthing him,
So what Michael takes from that that only thing Sollazzo's doing is trying to stall some more time so he could take another shot at the Godfather. That's what Michael says to himself when he's sitting there listening to this proposition.
Wow. They still wanted to kill him after that.
Oh, yeah. Of course.
They would have still wanted to kill him.
Yeah, of course.
This was just to pacify the situation, basically.
Right.
And try to manipulate their brains into thinking everything's cool. We're just going to go forward now.
Right.
It wasn't an eye for an eye, so that couldn't be,
Right, exactly. Bruno was killed. The Godfather didn't get killed, right? It really wasn't an eye for an eye.
That wasn't done, right?
So let's see. So they get to the restaurant, right? And they sit down. Now, this is a lot of things happening here that are interesting to me. When they sit down, you have Sollazzo says to McClusky, I'm going to talk to him in Italian. And McClusky says, go right ahead. I don't care. Because he doesn't want McClusky hearing what's going on to begin with. Right. And supposedly Sollazzo says, I don't know how to say some things in English the right way, but I know how to do it in Sicilian. So they're going to talk not just in Italian, they're going to talk in Sicilian in the book. He tells McClusky it's Italian, but it's actually Sicilian dialect that they're talking to each other in at the table.
In the movie too, it's dialect.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So wait, hold on. I wanted to show a picture here of All right, where is it? There's the man right there, putting his about to put his napkin in his.
That's all I could
collar.
do is look at his forehead for the bullet hole.
I know, right?
Right? That's
Yeah.
all. Like, that's the only thing I can see when I see McClusky's
I
face
know.
is the bullet
Weird.
hole in his forehead. Yeah.
Weird. Yeah.
Oh.
Now, this actor is Sterling Hayden. Now, I
Yeah.
don't know if you guys know about him, but he was a big actor in the
Yeah.
in westerns in the
Yes.
50s.
Yes.
I know nothing about
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
He was a sheriff too.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He always played law enforcement. This
Yeah.
guy.
Yep.
This is my only experience with him. I've never.
Yeah. No, I mean, I didn't know that until I went. A while ago, I started watching a lot of westerns.
Right.
And I saw him in there. I'm like, that's McClusky. That's McClusky.
Yes. My father knew that, Anthony.
Yeah.
My father
Yeah.
knew that one. He's like the fucking Cowboys in this one.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep. That's
So,
funny.
yeah.
It takes all kinds of actors. You see all kinds of actors in these movies. It's hilarious.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it was perfectly staffed, especially for that.
Oh,
that
of course. Of
No.
course.
They did a good
And
job.
then here's our friend Sollazzo as the
Wow.
waiter comes up and opens up the bottle of wine.
Wow.
And and it's interesting. You see him stop talking when the waiter gets there. He stops talking and he's waiting for the waiter to do his thing, and he's waiting for the waiter to go away.
Wow.
And then he fills the glasses and he hands the glasses to the two of them. Now, the thing is that McClusky does not drink. If you notice, there's only two there. There's only two glasses there. McClusky does not drink, and it says it in the book.
He no umbriag.
Yeah.
Remember, he said that at the meeting too.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow, interesting.
And in the book, it says, knowing the Irish, and this is what he says: knowing the Irish, the Irish weakness for liquor, that he would always stay away from it. He would never let it cloud his senses or anything like that. So he intentionally is not drinking.
I'm so glad she's not here. I used to this actor.
Yeah,
he is. I mean, he is a high maintained actor. He was crazy, this guy, and he's got the same demeanor, like the skin, the explosion as my father-in-law.
Oh,
and
really?
I used to tell my wife, "There's Dad," and she used to get so mad
because he looks like a snake.
Right, he was a drug dealer. But I used to tell her he's a gangster. He looks just like your. Oh, she used to get so mad at me. I had to throw that in there.
He really looks like a sleazy bastard, doesn't he? Though
he does,
big time.
Look! You could see it.
He was a troublemaker in real life too. This guy.
Yeah.
Big time.
But you see the ruthlessness. That's why he's perfect for the part.
He is perfect.
Yes, ALV. Yes, he plays in a movie. Real fast, not to go off. He plays in a movie with Charles Bronson. I forgot the name, and it's a great movie because it was about farming, immigration farming, and this guy breaks out of jail, and you could see him as like the same part. He was nuts, always screaming, fighting. But I got to get the name of the movie for us. But that's his demeanor. And
he was also in a movie, and I don't remember this either, but he was in a movie with Stephen McQueen.
Yes, you're right.
And he played that same type of cat. He was like the villain. He was like that same character, that same like vicious character.
I don't want to say Speed.
Was it?
Was it Speed? No.
No, it was that. It was that other movie where McQueen played a detective.
Yes.
I don't know the name of it. It was in San Francisco. It takes place in San Francisco. I don't remember what it was.
Hang on. Go ahead.
All right.
But anyway, but we get the picture, right? We get the picture. This is the perfect guy for this role.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so they have their discussion at the table, and then Michael suddenly says, I have to go to the bathroom. Now, Michael was very nervous at this point, according to the book, because he didn't think they were going to believe him. They didn't think that they would. And you see that in Sollazzo's eyes. Like, you see the suspicion. It's, in fact, his eyes like kind of squint when he says that, if you notice in the movie.
Back up 1 minute.
Yeah.
We'll get into the conversation a little bit.
Yeah.
Because in the conversation, when he opens it up,
Mhm.
and he does speak in the dialect, first he says he's sorry. That's number one. And that's a bullshit term.
Yeah. Yeah.
First he says he's sorry. He says it in Sicilian. And then he says, I'm sorry about your father, but your father, in Sicilian, he says, but your father is
Old-fashioned.
He's out of touch.
Yeah. Old thinking.
He's out of touch.
Yeah.
Right? And then he says a couple other things. Oh, then he says, I'm a loyal stand-up guy. I'm loyal to this thing. Basically, he says that.
Yeah.
Which is all, everything he said up to there is still bullshit. It's all bullshit. He's not sorry.
Right.
He said basically he said he's old-fashioned. He's got an old brain.
Yeah. Yep.
That he's out of touch with reality. And then he goes on to try to make him, someone says, I'm a stand-up guy. Come on, you're trying to prove it, right? He's just trying to prove it. So if he didn't say that, he probably had a better shot. That's when you started to see Michael get a little fumed.
Mm-hmm.
Starting halfway through what he was saying to him is when Michael's face started to change a little bit.
Yes. Yes.
Right off the bat, the I'm sorry was just
pathetic.
He could have said, I'm sorry things came to this.
Well, it's funny because
he didn't say it that way.
You're hitting on a great point, because that conversation is what brings Michael to the conclusion that this is completely bullshit, and that they're still going to try to kill his father. And it makes him even more. It makes him even more resigned to the fact that he has to kill them. He knows he has to kill them, because this is proving it. The conversation is proving to him that they were right all along, that they're going to constantly go after and they're going to try to kill his father no matter what.
Wow. Yes. Right. But the conversation just turned Michael off totally. So much so that so much so, and they did this beautifully, that Michael could not get the words out in Italian. He couldn't do it.
Right. He says,
couldn't process his second language. He was they did that
so mad.
Yeah, he was so.
Then he says, what I want. And he goes right into English. What I want.
Because he couldn't. He was so fired up. That's production based.
Yeah. Yep.
And they did that beautifully.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Well, that's disgust. You just come right out with it. You don't care who's listening,
Right. So the Italian people can't get the English out when they're aggravated. The English, with the Italian as a second language, can't get the Italian out when they're aggravated. They go right to their native language.
Right.
And he's obviously more native language as English, because as the movie showed us, he wasn't around very much, and he wasn't involved in anything, and he went away to the mill, all that. So so it really was a second language to him, really deep second language to him.
Right.
I love going in deep, screaming Italian words at people. They just have no clue,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I love it. I'd use better Italian when I'm mad than in English. So
it's and it's really telling, because what you just described, Stiggs, is not in the book. Like the moving to English is not in the book. So that's a movie way of demonstrating to everyone how frustrated he was. Like the book says he was frustrated, he was getting angrier. It says that, but they don't say he goes into English. That's to demonstrate to the viewer how frustrated he was, and how he lost the tongue at that point. He had to go to English because, come si dice, I can't think of what it is. How do you say? I can't say.
Do it. He was aggravated and ready to get this job done.
Yeah.
He was aggravated with the nonsense that he was saying. Oh, I'm a stand-up guy and all the bullshit that he said. He was aggravated with the whole conversation from the first one, right from the I'm sorry.
Right.
So
that's Coppola. That's Coppola's influence right there. That's Coppola.
Yeah.
Yep. Which is great. It really does.
Done.
Yep.
Beautifully done.
And so he goes to the point where he says he has to go to the bathroom, and then you see it in Sollazzo's eyes that he doesn't trust what's going on. He winces. You could see that happening, and then that's when McClusky says, I frisked 1,000 young punks. He doesn't have a gun, basically. What are you trying to say? I can't frisk this guy. He doesn't have a gun. He can go to the bathroom.
Hold on, before you go, did Sollazzo look at McClusky when he said I got to go to the bathroom? Because McClusky does say you got to go, right?
Yeah.
Was it? Did Sollazzo look at him for his validation on that or no?
No.
Like, is this safe or not? Like type of thing. I don't know. I don't remember.
Well, I think when he winces, like he does this, he kind of does it towards McClusky, like he does that towards him. Like he's not doing it towards Michael, because Michael, Michael hasn't.
You gotta go.
Yeah.
He's not going to tell the guy he can't go to the bathroom.
I know. But I think that's why he made that look. So. Yeah.
So McClusky again. It goes back to the fact that he feels he's invulnerable, so he's not even suspicious of anything at this point.
Right.
And
to McClusky, planting a gun in that bathroom was the furthest thing from his head.
Yes.
Yeah.
When they walked in that restaurant and he frisked them. That right there, he thought everything was golden, McClusky.
He was so comfortable, right?
Absolutely.
He didn't have the knowledge of what the street guys could do or set up.
He was so comfortable.
Right. And he was with Sollazzo too, so it's probably a little more comfortable.
Right. And so Michael goes in to the bathroom. He finds the gun. Now remember, Clemenza told him, you come out blasting. He doesn't do that. Clemenza told him, come out blasting, come out of the bathroom and just immediately shoot. He doesn't do that. Michael doesn't do that. Michael sits back down again, and Sollazzo begins to speak to him in Sicilian again, if you remember. Yeah. He doesn't immediately start shooting. No.
That was great control, because you went in there aggravated, and the way he went in there aggravated, you would think he would come out shooting.
Right.
He pulled himself together in a matter of a minute. And got them comfortable again.
Right.
He got them comfortable again.
Absolutely. Yep. And it all goes again to the transformation of Michael to being totally into the character that he thought his father was. In other words, he was becoming his father. He was he was acting and thinking the way his father would think. He needs to remove emotion. He needs to be all business. He needs to do this like business. So what's the best way to do this? Go back to the table, make sure they're comfortable. They may have been a little nervous because he got up to go to the bathroom. So make them comfortable. Go back to the table.
So Thindo, you think he became a man in a matter of a minute when he went in there as a pistol ready to shoot. He came out as a man and sat down. Is that crazy?
Split second. That's all it takes.
In 1 minute, he became a man, right?
Yep. As soon as he grabbed that gun, he became a man.
1 minute.
Yep. You remember what Clemenza told him? And you come out of that fucking bathroom firing that gun.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
He grew up in a minute.
You didn't have time to think.
Right.
Should I do this? Is this? You grab that gun and you go out firing. That's the bottom line.
But he thought it through. That's when he became his father at that moment.
Absolutely.
Yep. Wow. Within a minute. That is crazy.
Yeah.
That's all it takes. Yep. That's all it takes.
Wow.
You know what was at stake there?
And
everything.
And it's, to me, what's great about that particular part of the scene is he waits for the train to come, the train sound. Yeah. I mean, that was just classic. He waits for as soon as the train comes, you hear the train building up, the sound of the train up, and then he stands up and shoots McClusky.
You know what I love too?
Yes.
When he's walking out, he goes like this with the gun.
Yeah.
He drops the gun. Don't forget that.
Yeah. Right.
That he did listen to.
Clemenza.
From Clemenza,
right? McClusky said, drop the gun. Don't look at anybody. Drop the gun and go right out.
That's old school. Right
That's
there.
Crazy.
Clemenza. That's an old school hit.
So the train was coming up. Oh my God. They just put that so perfectly.
Yep. The background, the train, and nobody, they didn't even bother him walking out. There it is.
Yeah.
I love that.
There's the if you look close enough, you could see the bullet hole.
Bullet hole. I see it.
Look at that. Oh my God. Look at
there it is. I love this too.
Yeah, well, yeah. First, he shoots him in the throat,
In the
right? He
throat.
shoots him in the throat first,
Yep.
and then finishes him off with a bullet in the head.
Yep.
Beautifully done. Beautiful.
And Clemenza told him, 2.
My
Two
Lord.
shots.
Two
Yeah.
shots.
The waiter's right there. Look at this.
Look at the waiter. I'm going to Conquistafar. Why
Yeah.
do I have to work tonight?
He's right.
That poor
there.
guy. That poor guy probably peed his pants while this was going on.
Shit. The whole 10 yards.
I can't believe it.
Oh.
This is one of the
And this
best.
is kind of reminiscent of reality and what was it? The Anastasia hit? Was that where it was in the? What was the one that was in the restaurant? Was it Anastasia?
Oh.
No, Joey Gallo.
Gallo. It was Gallo. Yeah,
Gallo
Gallo.
was in the
Gallo,
restaurant.
yeah.
And the old man with
Yeah.
Lucky Luciano, they got him in the restaurant. The restaurant's always the restaurant or the barber shop. You know
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
in the old days.
Yep.
Yeah.
Did you ever wonder, like, if you ever botched the hit?
Oh,
You know.
please. Oh man.
I know it would have took the movie to another perspective, but all that, like if he came out and he couldn't kill him, like we were saying before.
Yep.
Oh, he got him in the throat first and then the head. Okay.
And the head, yep.
I like iWatch. He says ALV. It's a typical Thursday for the server.
Yeah.
Wow. Unbelievable.
Could you imagine that poor bastard afterwards? Did you see anything? Nope. I didn't see a thing.
Nope. No one saw anything. Nobody. Everyone
in
mind their own
shock.
business. Everyone minds their own business.
I was in shock. What are you kidding me? You
Mm-hmm.
wanted me to look at that when he was shooting a gun? Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Wow. That's excellent.
Wait a minute. And the best part is, if you're that waiter, all of a sudden the guy gets up, shoots both of them in the head, and walks out. You ain't gonna talk anyways.
No. No, you're not.
You're done.
I was back.
You know.
I was in the kitchen when it happened. That's what's going to happen. And you
And
know
I was
that place cleared out instantly. Everyone who was a patron of theirs long gone before the cops got there.
And like you said, I'll keep it loud. You imagine the echo after those
Mm.
gunshots in there? You know?
Oh yeah. Yep.
Unreal.
So what they don't show you in the movie is supposedly what happens is he gets into the car. Michael gets into the car. Tessio is actually driving the car himself. Tessio's driving the getaway car himself for Michael. And he takes him to the docks and he puts him on a freighter to go that's going to Italy. So immediately he goes right to the docks onto the freighter and it takes off and goes to Sicily.
Wow.
Right.
Right there. Right from there.
Mm-hmm.
Right from there. That's how you do it.
And then the book tells you a little bit more. I mean, you see the montage in the movie of the aftermath with the headlines of things. You know, they show you the headlines of all the stuff going on because remember the Corleones.
Swain.
Yeah, and the Corleones had the political connections. They also had the newspaper connections. So they're feeding. Tom Hagen is the one that feeds the lines, feeds the headlines to the newspaper people, and they print it. You know, the McClusky got in the rackets, all that stuff, and they do tell you a little bit more in the book about the crackdown that happens as a result of McClusky getting killed. There's a huge crackdown, and it hits all of the families. The crackdown it hits all of the gambling operations are shut down. All of the numbers, all the numbers and all that stuff, all prostitution, they shut down everything in the town. Basically, the police go all out to do this because a police officer's never been killed before, so they have to protect their own.
Right.
So everybody takes the heat from this. You know, the Corleones and everyone else takes the heat.
Check this out. I got the text right. I got right in front of me the meeting. Real quick, I'm going to go over it.
Mm-hmm.
He says, "I'm sorry," and Michael says it's all right, which is he already aggravated, right?
Right.
He says, "You got to know this hit. Hold on, the hit taken on your father is just business." All right. Then he says, "Look, I have much respect for your father. I'm just going through the text for you."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But his thinking is outdated. Well, like we just said that.
Right.
And you need to understand I'm a man of honor. That's where he gets. You're not a man of. That's where Michael starts to boil. He's trying to convince Michael that he's a man of honor when he's really not a man of honor. Just by saying it means he's not. then he says, let's see what we got here. He says, I understand. Now I'm looking at his face because we can't put this on the screen, guys, but I'm looking at his face. I'm going through the scene right now. If we put this on the screen, we lose the show.
Right. Right.
He says, I'm glad. Blah, blah, blah. Let's see. Hold on. Real quick. Just want to get through this. He looks at Sollazzo. He looks at McClusky. And he says right here, and you need to be clear why I'm working with the D'Italia family. So when he says that, he means he's working with the D'Italia family in the drug business. Is that correct?
Yes.
That's the part that you were saying, and that's where that comes together. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, and you need to be clear, I'm working with the D'Italia family. Now, that might have been meant to intimidate Michael.
Yeah.
Or just to say, okay, we don't need you, so there may be no violence going forward. Right?
Yeah.
Possibly trying to convince him. I'm guessing. I mean, that's what it appears. All I want is peace. Violence is costly. You know.
Yeah.
So you need to understand we got to stop this nonsense. Michael's really boiling at this point, and really, Dindo, you could see it in his face.
Oh sure,
Mm-hmm.
sure.
This is when he looks down at the table, trying to go. I wish we could put it on screen, guys, but we can't do it. But I have it in front of me. So then he says, how do I say this? And that's where he goes into the other thing. So that's just so everybody gets an understanding. That was the conversation. It sucks that we can't put it on the screen, but here's where we're at. And we're trying to break it down for you the best that we can. You know, that's what we're doing. So I just wanted you to hear some of some of those words. You know? Yeah.
They also describe in the book how there was actually a bomb that goes off in retaliation for this. Like the Italians send a car to the compound and a bomb goes off. It doesn't do any damage because it goes off in the front of the compound where the Corleones live. And then that 2 of their button men are killed. 2 of their button men are shot on the street and killed the next day. So they give you some background of that. You have the police crackdown going on as well as the war continues between the families.
Wow. All right. Nice.
So
good. This is great.
Yeah. So, I mean, so now you have Michael off to Sicily and you have the family left to deal with the aftermath of this.
This was a great one. This was a great scene to analyze.
You got to see the pictures.
Great.
Noel just sent me.
Yeah.
The whole village town scene of The Godfather, where him and Apollonia were.
Oh,
the church, the bar. No, this is amazing. No, this is amazing. I wish I could throw them up here.
Well, that's the next scene, right?
That's the next scene. We're gonna go through that.
No, I just wanted to say it. Oh, these pictures are amazing.
So make sure you get them to Anthony so he can use them for his.
Yeah.
If they're that good, yeah, absolutely.
No, you won't believe this. You won't believe this.
Good.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
The pictures are awesome. The pictures,
I'll hook you up with them, man.
Right, and the stills are helped too because they make you notice things that you normally don't notice in a moving picture. You know, you're concentrating on a scene and you see things like the bottle of beer, the paint cans, like the stuff like that.
Look at the bar where the old man was sitting before they come out to see if they get married.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yep.
The front. Perfect. Unbelievable.
Unreal.
Bar Vitale.
Excellent.
Like you said, Anthony, Bar Vitale.
Mm-hmm.
That's remember you said that earlier, name?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That's the name of that bar there, Vitale.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Yeah, so next week we will continue with that Michael in Sicily, and a little bit more about what's going on with the family and back, dealing with the aftermath of this. So, but I think this was good. It was a little bit shorter than usual, but it's a powerful scene. It really contributes to the character development, and you will see that next time how Michael is a distinctly different person in Sicily than you saw him before. You see that obviously. So
yeah, it's going to be a good one. The length of our shows are dependent on the length of the scene. So the next one might be a little longer. Last one, it all varies. This was a very powerful short scene. Very short scene.
Absolutely.
I watch. He changes. When he goes to Sicily, he's a whole new man when he comes back. I watch.
Well, Indo, I think that happens, like I said to you, when he comes out of that bathroom. That's when he turns into that man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He's already that guy. He knows
Yeah.
why he's in Sicily. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the things that happen to him in Sicily, as we'll see, also
Yeah.
harden him. You know, they make him more so that
Other men would have ran away.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow.
All right, guys. Well, listen, thank you so much, as always, for participating. And for those in the chat, I know we didn't really talk much to you guys directly, but I do appreciate you guys going back and forth with each other and talking with each other and lending your opinion. It's great. It makes it more enjoyable for everyone. So thank you for doing that. And please continue to do that. That's awesome.
All right, guys.
So everyone have a great day. Have a great
awesome.
Sunday.
Oh,
And
man.
God bless. Thank you
All
for
right.
Love you
watching.
guys. Be good.
Later, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. See, he drops off